So welcome to my YouTube channel. It's the beginning of May and I'm going to take you for a tour around my home garden and also my allotment. I'm going to start off in my home garden and then we'll move up to the allotment later. Now you know what I'm going to say, if you've not already subscribed to my channel, if you could please do so, because you'll get lots of helpful hints and tips all throughout the year from my home garden, my home kitchen and from my allotment. So first of all, if you want to take a look at my Subpod area here, it's doing really well. I don't think I'd put anything on the video on the last one. I put most of my seeds out in May just because I get much better germination, but I've got to be honest, I got a little bit impatient towards the end of April and I popped some into my Subpod area, mainly because it's a raised bed area and it's got the Subpod in it as well, so it keeps it a little bit warmer. And I'm really pleased. Not only are the herbs that I put in last year completely flourishing, which I think is amazing for May. I can't believe they're doing so incredibly well. I think it's because the Subpod keeps the bed really quite warm, like I said, but also the seeds that I've started off, which are some mixed salad leaves, some spring onions, some radishes and some beetroots. Everything has come through with the exception of the spring onions, which the spring onions are a bit of a pain sometimes. So if I don't do anything soon, I'm going to start some off between some wet kitchen roll to try and push them on, and then I'll just pop them in once they've germinated. So if you've not already got a Subpod, they are really handy for composting your waste in your garden and your kitchen. We'll put a link in our link tree and also in the description as well if you want to take a look at getting one of those. I really do recommend it. It is really quite awesome and it's really cool as a seat as well. So if we move over to the greenhouse area. Oh, actually, before we get there, I just wanted to highlight what we've done with the bed area. It's almost finished. We've just got to finish off that last little raised sleeper over there because it's a little bit uneven and we've got to trim it off a little bit, and then that will be this raised bed area done, all levelled off, looking really perfect. So I'm really chuffed with that. There was a moment where I thought it wasn't going to happen, but it's amazing just how quickly things do come together. If we move over to the greenhouse, I've got some more plants I've started off on in my propagator. Like I've said before, I start most of my seeds off in propagators because it is much easier. Not all of them, like some I do direct sow into the ground, but the ones like the courgettes and the squashes and the cucumbers, I've got sunflowers in there, I find that they do really well if I start them off in a propagator. And then I'm just going to pop them in the greenhouse because they need to be kept frost free. If you want to take a look inside, so things have started to come on a little bit more. So the chard and the kale that I potted on are starting to do really well there. That's the second lot that I started. I've got some tomatoes there, really coming on really nicely, Roma. It's too early to put them out into your garden, but I have popped a few into the greenhouse there. I will pop some other bits in here as well. I also transplanted some of my lettuces just because I wanted to push them on a little bit quicker. Although you can be direct sowing lettuce seed into the ground at the moment, these I started off a little bit early. I had been using them just like little salad leaves, but I picked a few out and just popped them along there, and hopefully I'll be getting lots of big salads soon. So that was the first lot of kale that I started off, so they're looking quite good. So when the risk of frost is gone, I can put them out into the garden. It's too soon at the moment to be doing anything with them. And my leeks are doing really well. Some people put them in sooner, but I wait until the beginning of June. I'll cobweb there. I wait till the beginning of June because it's just what I always do and it always really works. My marigolds are doing really well. These I'm going to use for companion plants to keep all the pests away. And one thing do be mindful of is that some of the things, as you can see there, they dry out really quickly. So when you're starting things off, you have to be really careful not to overwater. But then it gets to a point where the root systems are doing so well, they are going to drink a lot more water than they normally would. So it's worth having a quick look every day if something feels dry to the touch. So you don't want to keep watering something if it's still damp, because you could end up killing it. Because it'll make the something called damping off, and you'll just, you know, the roots will rot and yeah, they'll die. You don't want that. So only water them if they need it. I've got some more marigolds there that are a little bit of a stage behind, so but they're looking really good as well. And a few odd bits that didn't fit in any of the trays, which are all labelled up. Do make sure you label everything. It's really easy to think that you'll remember what everything is, but you never will. Got some more tomatoes there, some Elsa Craig and also some Tomtastic. So all varieties. Roma I grow every year because it's a really nice big Italian plum tomato and I really love it. It's really gorgeous and really good for tomato sauces. Elsa Craig and Tomtastic, I've never grown them before, so we'll just have to see how they go. I'm sure they'll be lovely. And these are some earlier kale and chards and they're looking really awesome. So it won't be long. When I think the risk of frost has passed, I will be popping them out, but there's no rush. They're doing perfectly okay in there. If I wanted to, I could pick the odd leaf off if I wanted to, and I may do with the chard. And my earlier lot of squashes and courgettes and all sorts of things in there, they're all doing brilliantly as well. I've put several to a pot. At some point I will split them up, and some of these I could probably almost do that soon, because obviously the true leaves are all coming out now and they're all starting to fill out a bit. I don't like to split them up too soon because you could damage them if they've not grown enough, but those ones like that I could probably start to pop them on now. There's no mega rush, but I will get those done probably in the next week or two. So as you can see, there's lots going on in here. Going to be quite some tour. Now these, I've never grown these before. These are asparagus peas and they look like they've germinated really well, so I'd love to know if anyone else has started to grow something like an asparagus pea and what it tastes like, but it just looked like something really fun to give a go. So one of the great things about growing your own fruit and vegetables is you can try different things you wouldn't normally see in the shops. So that's it in the greenhouse. So the greenhouse is really great. I did have someone ask where I got it from. It was only an Amazon purchase. We did do a lot of research. We looked at a lot of different retailers and it was actually really reasonable price and really good quality for the polycarbonate, the one that we wanted. And at the moment I'm really happy with it, so we will put a link in the description if you're interested in getting one of those too. So let's close that up. So as we move over to this area, move that out of the way. So the strawberries are coming on beautifully. I've even got some little little baby strawberries on there. So I'm hoping that, this is where the chickens were, I'm hoping that all this lovely manure is going to help them grow and I'm going to have the best strawberries ever. I had grown them in pots, but honestly they really didn't do very well. So I've got them in the ground this year, so we'll see what happens. As we move over, I've got some peas that I've started off. We've got some blooms on them, but I haven't got any peas yet. And some broad beans over there, again the same thing, I've got some blooms on there. I don't think it's going to be long, and I'll hopefully get some peas soon. I also soaked some peas overnight and then let them germinate, and I've actually got some little peas coming up in and along around here, so I've got some other ones. I think they're actually mange toes that I put there, the purple ones, so I easily be able to tell the difference between the actual peas and the mange toes when they come up. Or sugar sap peas, whatever you call them. I'm never too sure the difference. If anyone else knows, do put it in the comments. So I've got a few things here in the summer house that I'll be putting up. So let's just take a look in here. So I think most of you that follow me know that when I start off a lot of things, I actually start them off in containers, all depending on what they are. Things like sweet corn, as you can see, they've started to form the little tap roots on there, so I can start to pop those into little trays to get them going. And also, I want to take a quick look there, sprouted a lot of French beans. There was quite a lot in the packet. With the French beans, I can do one of two things, or both things. I can put them in little trays like this, to bring them on a little bit further, which I'm going to do some of that. And also I can pop them straight into the ground. They're not frost hardy, and there is a chance that we could get a frost in the next week or two, so I will pop them out in the garden and keep a really good eye on the weather. But as you can see, I've got a frame over here and I've got a cover that I can put over it, so I'll just put a cover over it just to err on the side of caution. In Kent we've probably only got a few more weeks left for the risk of frost, but it's best not to take any chances. You don't want to lose any of your precious crops. Sweet corn is not frost hardy at all, so I will leave them in module trays until I'm confident enough that they can go out. So the other option is to soak them and let them sprout, a little bit later and pop them straight into the ground. But I'm really impatient with my French beans. I like to get them started. I also like to get my sweet corn started early. My runner beans, I often just sprout them and pop them straight into the ground, but by the time I do that, I know that there's absolutely no chance of frost. So let's get a few of those in the ground. So I've got a dibber here, and you just need to make a little hole really and just pop them in. So I've started to get it ready a little bit. I'm going to have a few here at home because I find that they generally come along a little bit earlier. So you just do a little dibber hole and you just drop them straight in, and people say, oh, what way round do you put them up? Well, that is the tap root, but honestly try and aim for it to go down, but don't worry too much because it will just find its way. So honestly, don't fret too much if you've not exactly got it up or down. It will come good, I promise. So just dibber them in like that. Really easy. I mean, it couldn't get much easier than this, could it? So, you know, gardening doesn't have to be really difficult. So you can buy beans and things started off, although you rarely see the French beans started off. You see the runner beans quite a lot, but you don't see the French beans for some reason, which is really odd. So they're all in the ground now. I'll give them a quick watering. These are French climbing beans, so I will be putting some stakes in. I know you can buy the little bush varieties, the dwarf ones, but I really like growing the climbing ones because I think you get like loads more, and why would you not want loads rather than just a few? So at some point I will put canes in, but there's no rush to put the canes in, as long as I know roughly where they are, and I'll mark that off. What I'll do is if I put my dibber there, I can get some little canes and pop them in there, and then I can mark them, and then obviously I'll pop some canes in, and then obviously once they start to grow, they'll grow up. So with the other ones, obviously I'm going to pop them into the little module trays. I won't do that now because we'll be on camera for too long, but we'll now head up at the allotment and I can let you know what's going on up there. So we're now up at the allotment. I'm going to take you for a tour around what's going on up here. So we've just pulled up our Brussels plants and put them on the composter. Because they're really, the stems are really woody, we're chopping them up with some secateurs before we put them on there, otherwise they will take forever to compost down. So it's really worth doing that if you've got time to. And we don't always, but we do try to, and today's been one of those days where we've done it. And rhubarb's doing really well, although I do seem to have lots of thin rhubarb, so I'm going to have to Google that. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe I need to split it or something, I don't know. I've got plenty of thick stems as well, so there's still plenty of good rhubarb there, but I've got quite a lot of thin stems, which I don't normally get, so I'm going to have to find out why that's the case. Lots of things seem to be growing really quickly, and the artichokes are one of those things. They're doing really, really well. Still no signs of, you know, obviously the actual artichokes that you eat, but the actual foliage is looking really good. The blossoms on the cooking apple tree are looking really awesome. So really, really pretty. So hopefully I'll get lots of lovely cooking apples off that. And we did have lots of blossom on the pear tree, but obviously that's all gone now, and it's starting to, obviously it will start to form pears. So absolutely tons and tons of blossom on there, and lots of lovely pears to come. So as we wander down, so the raspberries are coming on really well. As you can see, they're starting to form what will be raspberries, well, the blooms and then the raspberries. So it looks like we're going to get a good crop of those. The cherry tree, we've got a few blossoms on there. Never really got many cherries myself. I think I eat the odd one every year and the birds seem to get the rest. But we'll see. You never know, this might be the year. The blackberry plant's looking really good. As you can see, our cage area is not looking much of a cage. And most things actually hold themselves up in this area, so we will, hopefully, over the next month, get rid of this old rotted wood that's there and tidy this up a little bit. The gooseberries have blossomed, and we've got some little tiny gooseberries forming. So just see, I can't see that many on here. It's quite difficult to tell in the early stages where the bloom goes and then the gooseberry starts to form exactly how much of a crop we're going to get. So potatoes have started to poke through. On the last video I think I had, only a couple of weeks ago, just like one or two poking through, and one of those I thought might have been a weed. So they're all starting to poke through. As you can see, we're starting to earth them up You know, it's one of those jobs, it's one of the boring, unglamorous jobs, but we did start earthing up the potatoes today, and we'll earth them up a little bit more. Been getting quite a lot of bindweed this year. I think it must have hibernated really well over the winter, so we're having to pull quite a lot of that out. We want to get that out because we don't want it kind of coming into the potatoes too much. So this area here, I dug over this morning. My plan is to put some seeds in there, but it was quite stodgy and lumpy, so I dug it over first thing this morning, and when I come back to film this, I've actually dug over it quickly again. And then hopefully, next time I come up here, I can dig over it again, bash it down, rake it over, and hopefully I'll get some seeds in there. Things like carrots, beetroots, and some parsnips, maybe some more lettuce, that kind of thing. I shall be direct sowing into the ground. So I won't be putting plants in, I'll be direct sowing the seeds in the next week or two. So I also weeded the little area around the pond that we had flowers last year, so I'll be putting some more flowers in there. And as you can see, we pulled the Brussels out. The purple sprouting is still producing purple sprouting, so we'll leave it in there for a couple more weeks. It can't stay in there too long, because once the sweet corn gets to a size, obviously you saw it in the video at the beginning, it's only just sprouted, but once that's ready to plant, then whether or not that's still producing or not, which it probably won't be, the sweet corn's going to go in there. So, and as we move down, the garlic and the onions are doing really well. So the first lot of onions here are my overwintering ones, as are the garlic, and they all seem to be filling out quite nicely. You know, they always look a little bit, often you get a little bit of rust, but I often do, but the stems themselves seem to be filling out, so hopefully in about a month or so's time I'll actually be able to lift some garlic and I'll be able to use it. So these are my spring planted onions, and they all look quite lovely, as I would expect them to look, so not too bad at all. I've started to plan what I'm going to be putting in the allotment. I normally do a 4-crop rotation, so I rotate it in quarters, but because that cage hasn't moved this year, even though we thought we might get it to move, we haven't managed to move it yet. And I've also acquired a bit more of my father-in-law's allotment, and because he can't maintain it all on his own, it's a little bit broken up, but I'm roughly working out in my head where I'm going to be putting everything. And it's probably a good idea if you do the same, because you kind of want to roughly work out and plan out where things are going to go. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, and I'm not saying I'm not going to change my mind, but I roughly know, give or take, where things are going to go. So my seeds will go up in that bit that we looked at, that spare bit where the garlic is. I'm probably going to put my chard in there. If I get any more brassicas, they will go on this sheeting bit that's here that's not covered. And I'd like to try and get some broccoli if I can, because I really love it, and I've not started any off myself yet, so I'm going to have to look around the garden centres. And the bottom bit that we've taken off, I've taken over from my father-in-law, we're going to put squashes and courgettes there, and the beans are going to go here, so the runner beans will go there. And I'm getting a couple of raised beds, which I'll talk about more in another video, which I'm going to be growing some blueberries and hopefully try some root vegetables to try and get bigger roots. That's the plan anyway. So I really hope you've enjoyed the tour of the allotment. I'd love to know what you're doing on your allotment and what you're planning to do as well. If you've got any questions, as ever, please do put them in the comments, and we will answer them.